Good afternoon and welcome to the Renfrew County Housing Corporation meeting. With your permission, we will switch the agendas today. We have we are starting late, and we do have a delegation that we'd like to see, so we will do the community services meeting first. Everybody in agreement? Okay. As we gather this morning, or this afternoon, we acknowledge on behalf of the County of Renfrew and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Omamawini people. We thank the Omamawini people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of Indigenous peoples who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Has roll call been taken, please? Thank you. Could I get a mover and a seconder for the Community Services Committee minutes from June 12th, please? Councillor Service and our councillor from Head Clara Mariah. All in favor? Carried. There were no closed minutes. So the next item on the agenda is delegations, and I will hand this over to Ms. Patrick, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce our delegation this afternoon. We have with us today Kimberly McLeod, who is the Service Director for the Addictions Treatment Centre, and Sarah Haima, who's the Hub Manager for the Youth Wellness Hub Ontario. And we really want to thank them for their patience as we are a little bit late in getting started. And we're really happy that they could be here with us today to talk to us about the Youth Wellness Hub. So we'll invite you up to the podium. We certainly work in very close partnership with these service providers, and we do have community services staff that attend both Youth Wellness Hub locations on a monthly basis to help connect clients to mutual services. And really here. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for that kind introduction, and thank you very much for the opportunity today to speak to you about the Renfrew County Youth Wellness Hub. For Sarah and I, this really has been a labor of love. And I'm going to start today by telling you a little bit about the history and the background and the model, and then I'm going to turn the presentation over to Sarah to talk a little bit more in terms of the staff and the everyday kind of intricacies of what we do. So, in terms of the background, so I became involved in this project back in February 2017 when the Ontario government announced funding for integrated service hubs across the province. And the purpose of this was to address the gaps in the youth service system at that time. 10 hubs were established to serve as fully integrated youth networks for youth aged 12 to 25 and their families. In spring of 2021, the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care announced the addition of 4 more hubs, and Renfrew County was the fortunate recipient of that funding at that time. And RVH, an addictions treatment service, was then designated the lead for the development. Since then, funding for other hubs has continued, and we now have 27 fully functioning hubs around Ontario at this time. What is YHU? So in terms of the model, the hub is dedicated to helping youth aged 12 to 25 and their families with issues and challenges, and addresses needs related to mental health, substance use, health care, education, training, employment, housing, and other community and social services. The hub also includes peer support services, outreach, and system navigation services. Services always emphasize quality, fully integrated to youth to ensure they're able to access the hub easily and with no barriers, and hopefully reduce stigma. How it actually works. Oh, thank you. It's not usual that you have to bend the mic down for me. How YHU works. So what we want to do is we want to provide rapid access to easily identifiable mental health and substance use services with walk-in low barrier services and very clear service pathways. It's always based on evidence, evidence-based interventions matched to the individual's level of need, and supported transitions back and forth between specialized services and care when the severity of need is evident. Integrated mental health, substance use, primary care, vocational, housing, and other support services into an integrated model of care offered in a youth-friendly space. And our ultimate goal is to have 80% of all Renfrew County youth-based services available at the hub. Where are we located? So we just had our opening of our second site in Renfrew in March, but our first site was established in October 2021 or 22? 22. And it is at 278 Nelson Street in Pembroke, and it is the previous female residence of Columbus House. So it's a really nice, warm, homey feel. We are the first hub in all of Ontario to use this kind of a format. And when we had people from Waihu come down and tour it, they loved it. They thought it was warm, it was welcoming, it was non-stigmatizing, and it really has been a wonderful space. And the feedback, obviously, which is most important from the youth, is they feel at home there and they feel safe. The second site was just opened, as I mentioned, at the new MyFM Center located at 1 Mattaway Drive in Renfrew. It's a brand new space, and we designed the space a little bit differently. We have a clinical area where youth can come in and access primary care or the mental health clinician in privacy, but then we also have a very large open room for activities, and we have a lovely kitchen there where we do host a lot of our programming. And now I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, where she can talk a little bit about our team at Waihu.
I'm just going to adjust it, and again, normally I don't have to move heights either. So I do the on-site day-to-day pieces at the hub, so that's why Kim felt it would be best that she talked about the previous, and I talk about the day-to-day. So we have a core team that works primarily that we all travel back and forth between both locations in Renfrew and Pembroke. We have our intake coordinator, who is Marae. Marae is bilingual, and she is the kind of first point of contact when youth come in, call, step through the door to kind of see where they're at, and she helps them to figure out what it is that they want to do and what would best service them. We have our navigators right now, which are Matt and Amanda. Essentially what they do is when youth come into services as well, and maybe they aren't sure how to navigate all the agencies that we have here in Renfrew County, they help them figure out what the best service pathway is for them. So they will follow them along with their treatment plan, see where they need to go. If they need referrals for other agencies and there may be a little bit of a wait list, they help to follow along with all of those and talk about what that pathway would be. We have Ashley, who is our peer support worker. Ashley works a lot with the skills and well-being activities that we have, so a little bit later on you'll see a calendar that we post, but each month we post a calendar with all of our activities and our skills and well-being, life skills, all those things that our community partners also join in on, and Ashley helps to facilitate a lot of those with other staff as well. We have our mental health and addiction clinician, which is Katie. Katie does 1-to-1. Normally it's a 1 to 8 sessions. It meets the youth where they're at and talks about what's going on, whether it is mental health, it is substance use, or it is concurrent. So Katie, again, meets them where they're at and just figures out what the next best steps are. And if there is other referrals or pieces needed, she can help do those and then work with our navigators to manage those as well. We are currently working very, very closely to get a nurse practitioner on. We are working with ConnectWell to be able to do so, to bring that in. And as soon as we do, then we will offer primary care to youth, both in Pembroke and in Renfrew. And then there's myself, and I oversee the day-to-day program services, work with our community partners to balance those meetings, and do what we can to ensure we have those 80% of services within the county there. Some of the additional programs that we have, we just did You're the Chef. We ran it for the first time. It is in partnership with the Renfrew County and District Health Unit. It is an amazing program that focuses in on youth right from the very start. So how to cook, how to make cooking fun, what it looks like to be able to learn new recipes. They get the opportunity to learn kitchen safety, health and safety, and then balance that on. So it's a full 5-week course, and then they get a certificate at the end, and we did a little graduation ceremony for it for those that did, and they were super excited to be able to cook all the meals for the youth that come into the space. So they were the ones who prepared everything, got it ready, and then showcased it in one of the wonderful kitchens that we did in Renfrew. And so the next stop is to do it here in Pembroke as well. So we are running that. We already have a full list of those who want to join. So now we're going to be doing that in the fall, and we figured it was try it once in the summer, because we know summer can be chaotic, and then again when the fall, when school is back, we can have that schedule ready to go. We also are going to be running Strengthening Families again. We ran it once in Pembroke, and we're looking to do so in Renfrew. It is a wonderful program that would be able to incorporate with the Phoenix Center and again the Renfrew County and District Health Unit. All of us come together for a 9-week program that brings families together to help with communication, to help build and strengthen the core bond that they have. It is a successful program that has seen so many families work together. And then our next, like I said, our next step is, because we can mention, we just kind of opened in Renfrew, to kind of roll that out so we have the space and to be able to meet the families and introduce those that would want to be part of that. We also have Preventure, which is part of one of the WIHU programs that we do. This is a evidence-based program. What it does is it works on our personality basis, and it brings together for early intervention of those who may potentially could struggle with living with addictions. So it focuses in on those pieces. There are 2 core 90-minute programs that are run through it after they take the questionnaire and fill it in. And then we run those programs to be able to do it. So just right now, as we are kind of starting off, as we are a newer hub versus some of the other ones who started earlier on, we've done a few one-to-ones. The hope then is that we can do a few more where we can bring in larger groups to be able to do so and have those done, both in Renfrew and in Pembroke again. And then, like I said, I will show you our calendar, but our skills and well-being each month, every day that we are on the sites. So the Tuesdays and Thursdays when we're in Pembroke, and Mondays and Wednesdays when we're in Renfrew, there's always something going on that youth can sign up to do. It can be anything from cooking or life skills, and we always throw in those core pieces as well to be able to kind of enhance some of the socialization and to be able to bring those into youth that would need those programs. And those are mostly, like I said, run by our peer support. So as you can see, this is this month's calendar, and then shortly we'll be posting September as well. It takes a look again at all the different activities you can do, all of our amazing partnerships. We have community service, we have employment services, we have On Track, we partner with the town of Renfrew. There's different things that youth can do, and we try to make it as varied as we can, and we use the feedback from our youth advisory meetings to be able to get that information, and then how it is that we can plan those and build those together. So youth can again register for the ones that need to be, or just drop in to be able to participate in any of those activities. We always have food on the go, because as everyone knows, food is our love language. So it's a big thing to be able to bring everybody together and have some kind of snack or something going on. And it's a great way for us to be able to open up and kind of ice break some of the things that we have going on with youth that may be a little more anxious or a little bit more shy coming into some of these programs. So, and it helps us all, because food is amazing for that. And some of, again, the other additionals, we do offer transportation. So we have a very awesome WIHU van that we have wrapped, so it's very distinct as to who we are. So you may see us around Pembroke or Renfrew or in the county. We do this to be able to, again, pick up the youth to clinical appointments or to some of the activities that we have pre-registered. We have waivers and things signed, so if they're 12 to 17, we ask a parent or guardian or a legal person, like somebody like their worker, that can sign for them to do so. If they're 18 or over, we have them sign those. And again, all of these, they can bring them to the hub so they can participate. We didn't want transportation to be a barrier for those who couldn't access services. Renfrew County is amazing. It's very large, as we all know, so that can kind of bring things together. We are also in talks right now to be able to initiate, we have 2 youth shelter beds that are in the hub, so that's just in conversations right now to be able to have access for those who would be in need who can use it. So there will be more to come from that as well. This is just some of the community partners that we have who we see on a regular basis who come into the hub. We are so thankful to be able to have them. We wouldn't be able to do as much for the youth in Renfrew County as we could without them. So we have them come into the program, talk to our youth about different things that go on. Some things can be virtual, some things are fully in person. It really is staffing initiatives that we can do. But again, absolutely amazing that we have everybody that we can, and we always look to be able to increase more to be able to offer more services. So this is how you contact us. We have our central intake number and our fax numbers and our emails. So if anybody has questions, they're not really sure what services look like, they want to get more information, they can do so. And then again, when we go into amazing presentations, we pass out our business cards and things like that they can reach to us specifically if they are looking for something specific. And we are on all the social media platforms to ensure that youth can easily access and see what's going on as well, because we know social media is a youth-based mostly, but it's so easy for them to connect. And then when we go to places too, we have a link tree that provides all the services as well, has our calendars, has all the things that we have. The youth can easily access. We have it at the front of both of our sites, so it can be really quick to be able to do so, and then it can answer some questions. As we know, sometimes anxiety and things can come into different things, so youth can then very easily access all of our services and then ask questions after. All right. So now we would open the floor to questions if anybody has any.
So are there any questions or comments? Member from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. And thanks for the presentation, and thanks for all the work you do for the youth in the community. The question is, do you advertise, how is this program advertised to the youth? Is it done in the schools, or do you have other avenues that the youth can find out about your program?
Absolutely. So yes, so we go into the schools, we do presentations for each one of them. We go into different community expos. So we're at Pembroke Expo, we go to we'll be at the Renfrew Fair. We also have advertisement through MyFM that we post to be able to have that as community both in Pembroke and Renfrew. We do the same, we go into local businesses and we post our calendars and post our information too to be able to get those. Kim does so much work as well to be able to talk to different community members and reach out. And then when we get amazing opportunities like this to be able to come and talk to everyone else, to be able to share the things that we do are just like some of the basis of what we do.
One more? Okay, go ahead.
Maybe more than that.
Okay,
but for now, one more. Thank you, Chair, through you. So there's a hub in Renfrew and a hub in Pembroke, and these two hubs are meant to service the entire Renfrew County. So my question is, do you track where your clientele comes from? So do you know if youth from Deep River or Barry's Bay are somehow accessing these programs? And I know you provide transportation, but it might sometimes be difficult for youth from faraway communities to access your services. So I'm just wondering if the one in Pembroke mainly services Pembroke youth and the Renfrew mainly services Renfrew youth.
So in terms of the original model, believe it or not, the intention was to have one hub for Renfrew County. So we went to the youth and we spoke to them, and like we've said, in terms we know how large it is, and they said that we really need two, minimally. So we have been able to manage to do two separate hubs. And when talking with Waihu, what we said to them was, in terms of what is the criteria, and they said, well, we want it to be less than a 45-minute to an hour drive for any youth to access services. And we did put it out to the youth, and the youth felt that what would be most utilized would be one in Pembroke, like you're saying, in terms of to kind of do this area of the county, and one down in Renfrew to cover the other part in terms of Arnprior. But we have as well had conversations too about possibly doing pop-ups, right, in terms of going to different communities and having, a meet the team kind of day to introduce youth from the other parts of the rural community. And the other part that we have done is that on Fridays, I don't think we talked about it here in the presentation, it's all virtual services. So that anybody who cannot get to us in terms of that platform is available for them. Because we want every youth in Renfrew County to have equal access to this program. So we're always, again, talking about partnerships, and if we're able to increase funding, we'd love to have a hub in every single community in Renfrew County. But I'm pretty proud of the fact that we've been able to at least do 2 with a budget of 1 so far.
Thanks for that. And just to go back to my other question, do you keep statistics in terms of Pembroke, Renfrew, and then anybody that's coming from the far-flung areas?
Yes, so we are, ours is evidence-based, so obviously we do take demographics and pieces like that, and a big part from Waihu, our head office that does as well, sends us monthly and quarterly and yearly statistics. We have divided specifically between Renfrew and Pembroke right now. We haven't gone, as close into just yet because of our new opening is, like you said, Deep River or Barry's Bay or the pieces like that. We do have where they do come from, so it will list larger geographical areas, as well as monitoring ages that come in within those demographics, if they are in school, if housing is an issue, those that are part of the Two-Spirit LGBTQI plus community, as well as those who identify as Indigenous or any other cultures that we have. We take all that information as well.
Thanks. If those statistics are not confidential, I wouldn't mind seeing them if I'm allowed to see them, just in terms of where all the clientele are coming from. And it's interesting you mentioned that should there be further government funding, I know that there was 27 hubs now across the province. So it sounds like it's a successful program, and perhaps there may be more funding coming. And if there were, it'd be great to see more hubs in Renfrew County, because we are such a big county and it's hard for kids to get transportation. So I like the idea of a pop-up, but if there is further funding, and I know I'm not supposed to advocate for my own community here, but Petawawa has 5,000 kids under the age of 19. And so I'm not sure how many are accessing your facility or your services, so it'd be interesting to know. But if there is further government funding coming, it'd be great to have pop-ups and even other hubs all across Renfrew County to service such a wide area. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? No? Warden Emo, please.
Thank you. And again, thank you very much for the presentation. Strange question, but I think you'll get the gist of it. Is your funding stable? Are you guaranteed for 3 or 4 years or 5 years, or it's just an ongoing, it's permanent funding?
Our funding is permanent in terms of base funding.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? No, I was curious about the transportation as well. So for the program you mentioned about the food where they're preparing meals, is transportation available to their families as well, or is it just for the youth?
Ours is designed specifically for the ages of 12 to 25. So if they fall within those, to be able to come in to access services. When we have the pieces, like I mentioned about strengthening families, or the other pieces that we partner with community agencies that work with more so of the families, that's for sure where we can be able to accompany the transportation pieces for sure. Just the specific, when the group, like so for the You're the Chef, falls just specifically for that to be able to teach them, but we send them home with the recipes, and when we can, we send them home with the ingredients to be able to make it to bring back to their families as well, so that they can showcase, not only did I make this for all the youth at the hub, but to the families, I also know how to make this, and they have all the instructions, so they got a package of everything that they made with the health and safety and all those pieces.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? No? Well, thank you so much, and thank you for the work you do for our youth. Thank you. You want to? Sure. So I'm going back on my agenda. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Okay. We'll now go to the Community Services Department report, please. Director's report.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. Good afternoon, members of Community Services Committee, and welcome to Miramichi Lodge today. I wanted to just start by saying a huge thank you to Director Blackmore for hosting the meeting here and for his staff's welcoming nature and for willingness to take our committee members on a tour and talk to us about your model of care. Your staff are always so welcoming, and it certainly is a wonderful facility, and we always feel very at home when we're here, so thank you for that. Information item number 1 in my report is the Treasurer's Report for the Community Services Department as of June 30th, 2024. So in looking at the report, which is on page 16, we are in good shape as a department. We are underspent. Largely that is due to some Ontario Works Program Administration underspending. We do have some underspending in our salary lines as a result of some positions turning over and delays in getting backfills in place, as well as some underspending in our employment-related expenses budget, just as a result of some changes with the employment services transformation and the ability for Employment Ontario to deliver some of those benefits. So, as I say, no red flags as far as our department, and we're in good shape. Information item number 2 is the End Violence Against Women event. It was called the Because of You, Commemorating and Celebrating the Work to End Violence Against Women. It was held at the Opiongo Seniors Centre in Barry's Bay on the 28th of June of this year. Myself and manager beside me were able to attend the event, and Ward Nima was present as well to deliver remarks and to support the local EVA committee. It was an event that was scheduled on the 2nd anniversary of the inquest verdict into the deaths of Anastasia Cusack, Natalie Warmerdon, and Carol Culleton. And the event was very well attended and certainly encouraged service providers and survivors and family members to continue the work to end violence against women. So we were very pleased to be a part of that day. Item number 3 in my report is the Mesa Gathering Report. So as this committee is well aware, we attended the Mesa Gathering here, or hosted the Mesa Gathering on the 22nd of May here in this very room. It was a really well-attended event, and with over 180 attendees from 49 agencies. And I know that we've talked extensively about the day itself. It was really a great day to kind of get everybody in the same room and really have a day to explore some of the issues and to start looking at the path forward. So we have attached in your package the report that was compiled by our facilitator, Mr. Paul Morrow. The report was marked as draft, just in that when it went out to committees, we were not sure if there would be any final edits. However, that report now can be considered final. We will be posting it on our website shortly, and we will also be bringing a copy of the report to AMO next week. We have a meeting on Monday with the Associate Minister Tabolo, and we'll be bringing a copy of that report along. The day, as we've talked about, was a really great day to start gathering input from the various experts in the field, individuals with lived experience, as well as multiple service providers and elected officials. The report is very comprehensive and does compile all of the data and the information that was brought forward throughout the day. And the facilitator was able to kind of compile a list of 9 ideas or recommendations that are listed in the report that really came out of that day and came out of the feedback that we were hearing from providers. So I'll just very briefly touch on what those 9 recommendations coming out of the day were. So number 1, continuation of the MESA program. Number 2, designation of Pembroke Regional Hospital as a Schedule I facility. So working to make sure that that could be something that could be done locally as opposed to having to be done out of Ottawa through the Royal Ottawa Hospital. Number 3, support sustainability for the grind. So just a real recognition that many of our agencies, like the grind and other similar plural sector organizations, do a lot of the work to help support the population, and we want to continue to help them to be viable in being a part of the solution as well. Item number 4, establish a regional addiction treatment facility in or near to the County of Renfrew, servicing local needs in Eastern Ontario. So this was certainly talked about throughout the day as being a huge and glaring gap, and something that is very much a barrier to individuals accessing service when they do have to leave the community in order to get the treatment and the services that they need. Number 5, create a supportive bridge housing facility. So as this committee is aware, thing that the MESA team is working on with Care for in Pembroke, and we have renovations which will be getting started shortly, and hoping to be able to bring some more details about the progress there to this committee in the near future. Item number 6, to address healthcare human resource shortages. Number 7, enhance community education and destigmatization. Number 8, to implement a Renfrew County drug strategy. So this is something that the Renfrew County and District Health Unit has already taken the lead on. Myself and Chief Nolan are part of the steering committee for that, and so happy to be a part of that table and working together on this strategy with numerous community partners as well. And the final idea or recommendation that really was formulated out of that day was to support increased volunteer capacity. So there was a lot of discussion about the role of, volunteers and, some of the nonprofit organizations and their reliance on on volunteer basis, and how we do have a shrinkage of available volunteers, throughout many of the sectors. And, some of the discussion really formed around, the potential to create a dedicated organization to train and manage volunteers, and to help ensure that those who want to be a part of the solution can find a way to be a part of it. So, the report, as I mentioned, is very comprehensive, but that's a little bit of a high-level overview of some of the really recommendations that we're assessing and working through as a MESA team, and some are starting to come forward into greater action already at this time. And item number 4 is the Warming Center final report. So at the June committee meeting, I had indicated to this committee that I would bring back the final report for the Warming Center, which was not ready at that time. They had a draft report that was available, so the report is now in its final version. Again, as this committee is aware, the Warming Center for the past winter was operated from December 1st, 2023 through to April 18th, 2024, with contributions from 4 municipal partners and fundraising efforts that were led by the Grind. So again, the final report is there for your information and review. Would you like me to stop there, Chair, before the recommendation?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes, please. We'll go back to information item number 1. Are there any questions or comments? Information item number 2, End Violence Against Women event. Warden Emo, please.
Thank you. I was very honored, frankly, to be asked to speak, and very proud of this council and our staff for our response in the past year, and it was recognized, and they seemed genuinely grateful that we as an organization had really followed the instincts and the guidance of our staff, and passed the recommendations. And again, I think the one thing that I took from it that I need to do more, and set an example, is to speak out about this on a regular basis. And I think as males, and I don't want to say this for everybody, but as a male, you often don't want to say much about it because it looks like you're crowding the message and you don't know what you're talking about, which you don't. But at the same time, if you don't, I think it just adds to the feeling of abandonment. And so it's going to be a process to have the right language at the right time for the right effect. But I'm going to continue to do it and encourage all my colleagues as well.
Thank you for that. Okay. Item number 3, the MESA Gathering Report. And item number 4, the Warming Center Final Report. I think the statistics there speak for themselves. Yeah. Warden, please.
Again, just a very heartfelt thank you to the 4 municipalities that that joined with the grind and packed, and then subsequently with a series of donors to make this occur. It came together quickly, and that caused it to be a little thorny on occasion as we worked our way through the year, but we ended up standing up a very good program from the ground quickly, and it served to assist a number of people who were vulnerable. And at the same time, I think it demonstrated to the community that groups could come together very quickly, organize something, tweak it, make it work, and people in turn were safe and were guided towards the services that could assist them to at least the first stages of well-being. So again, congratulations to council and to our staff. This was a little bit of a gamble because we weren't sure what it was going to look like when we agreed to join into it. But thank you for the guidance and then also the permission to go forward. We're very lucky that all the partners accepted the expertise that is in-house with our staff, and which allowed us to guide the process.
Thank you. Any other comments on that? No? Okay, continue with resolutions, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. So item number 5 is a resolution regarding a warming center for 2024-2025 winter months. May I go ahead and read the recommendation, Chair?
Please.
So the recommendation is that the Community Services Committee directs staff to review options for a warming center for the period of November 2024 to April 2025, and that staff should initiate discussions with the City of Pembroke and interested service providers, including the Grind Pembroke, regarding these options and bring information back to the September committee meeting.
Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the warden, seconded by the member from Head-Claremoraya. Background, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee. In terms of the background, I think that we have made considerable progress with MESA as a collaboration of 3 departments, and all leaning into trying to think differently and work collaboratively with multiple service providers in a different way to serve the population more effectively, and to try to work together to try to fill some of the gaps that are existing. I think we have made, considerable progress as a collective with the community working together. We have the Mesa East and West teams that are able to go out and do outreach work and identify individuals that may be living rough or in encampments or single tents in different areas across Renfrew County, and connect with them, start to build trust and connect them to services. We have, as was mentioned earlier in the report, we are embarking on the first supportive bridge housing option with Care4, and that's something that we hope will provide, some really significant wraparound services for individuals that are needing, housing and some supports to be able to maintain housing and increase their wellness. We've also started some pilot programs with service providers through MESA. We are working with a motel in Renfrew, the Rocky Mountain House, to provide some blocks of hotel rooms with a social contract that has been created with input from many individuals, including individuals with lived experience as well as service providers, to identify, some longer-term stays and some supports and really steps to take with service providers in order to, start addressing some challenges and working towards us supporting people with retaining housing. So we have a number of things that are, I think, providing some supports, but we still have a gap in the area of individuals who may not be ready yet to embark on treatment, who may not be at the point of trusting service providers and are still very vulnerable in our community, and certainly at risk during cold winter months. So we are identifying that there is still a need for a warming center of some sort through the winter months in order just to make sure that people are protected. And our recommendation is that we continue the work that we're doing to investigate options and bring back some firmer recommendations to this committee in September. I'll stop there, Chair, for now.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Member from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. It was interesting to read the report and see how well used it was. It just cements the fact that it was much needed in our community. And I know we've taken steps to try and solve some of the issues, but it appears as though a warming center is still going to be needed. My question is about funding. It's been a while since, you know, that warming center was closed and the report was given. Has there been any thought given to where the funding is going to come from for the 24-25 winter season? Has there been any exploration, let's say, in terms of alternate sources of funding than what took place for the last warming center period?
Ms. Patrick, I'm going to get a sore neck here.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and through you to Councillor Service. So I think, you know, last year we made some really great progress by, you know, identifying a collaborative approach to both funding and identifying the needs within Renfrew County and the various communities. And we had a number of municipalities and nonprofit organizations that were willing to, you know, contribute to the cost of a solution to keep residents safe in the winter. We do have within our homelessness prevention program budget the same allocation amount sort of set aside that we had last year that was part of the County of Renfrew's contribution to the warming center. But, you know, beyond that, I can't speak for, you know, the others, members that were part of the solution last year and what those financial contributions or willingness may be from the other parties.
Mr. Kelly, please.
Unless the member has another question, I have. So, Andrew and I have chatted about this. So this is a bit of a departure from where we've been at. I mean, this is the third year. First year we funded it through, at the very last minute, through HPP funds. The second year, a little bit more money through HPP, the very last minute again. And both times we were approached by the Grind and members. Last year was members of the Pembroke and Area Community something, the PACT. I can't remember the acronym stands for. The question still remains to me, is the county going to lead this or partner with this? And this is still part of this whole conversation going on, because it would be a departure from the last 2 or 3 years. Unfortunately, our member from Pembroke isn't here today because there is, as we know, a well-publicized disagreement with where the Grind is going to operate out of or exist out of in the future, as their wishes to buy that building have been turned down by the city. I believe that the PACT still wants to be involved from my conversations with Mr. Boland. Now they don't want to be necessarily the lead. I think the Grind still wants to be involved, and this is what the motion speaks to. But where and how and all these other things is still to be sorted out. I mean, your community donated some money, thankfully, and so did Pembroke. Anteed up quite a bit, actually, to this year, but we have no commitments from anybody. Well, Laurentian Valley was a third partner in there as well as ourselves. We'll have to wander down this road somehow or another, and whether or not the county is going to be the lead on this. Someone has to be the lead. This is, again, outside of our of our lane. How many times have we said that today through the various meetings? But we have been engaged. Obviously, this is in fact in our lane because we have been funding this. It's just a matter of who the lead is in determining that those peoples moving forward.
Follow up? No? Okay. Any other comments? Warden, please.
Yes. Unfortunately, the year wasn't 18 months long, with 10 months in the middle for a break to do some planning, and because ideally what could have happened would be that it would be a volunteer group that would become maybe a not-for-profit or something, and they would run it and just approach the various parties for money. And that is ideally where we could hopefully get to, but the year was just too short for us. So I think unfortunately, we're going to have to depend upon the community, meaning the municipal community and the community at large, with a little more focused effort on seeking donations. We never really got it off the ground. There was a bit of confusion about the Grind didn't want to be part of taking in the money because it was going to cloud over into their other operations, and then somehow they ended up doing it anyway. So I think a lot of things have to be straightened out. Maybe the other two parties, the Grind and the city, will work towards a resolution of their issues, and they might be able to operate, and we can just offer some funding and audit clinically the results. But right now, looking into the crystal ball, which is very cloudy, it looks like we're going to have a very active role. And that's fortunate but unfortunate, because I think we're seen as a bit of a strong party who can navigate some of the conflicts, either gloss them over or ignore them, but we can navigate them. So thank you.
Okay, any other comments? All in favor? Okay, we'll go to the Community Supports Division report, please. Ms. Muldoon.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the rest of the committee. 3 information items for you on my report today. The first is our Ontario Works caseload statistics. So you can see that our numbers are remaining relatively the same since the start of the year. And as I had mentioned in a previous committee meeting, these numbers are what were forecasted by the province, so there's not really any surprises in here. Information item number 2 is our by name list statistics. So our by name list, as you may recall, is really our data regarding people that we're serving who are experiencing homelessness right now. What we're seeing here, is a total of 27 as of the end of June, a total of 27 active cases that we've been working with, or active clients that we've been working with. And that's a mix of those who are experiencing chronic homelessness, which would be they've been experiencing homelessness for 6 months or more within a 12-month period, and also those who are experiencing non-chronic homelessness. So typically that's episodic, or they're newly homeless, they haven't reached that 6-month mark yet within the 12-month period. And there's further information there just to break down some of the demographics that we're seeing, but by and large, we're seeing the majority of people that we're working with who are single. I would also just like to point out, and I think this is pointed out a few times as well, that this is really representative of people who have completed our by name list survey. So this number is not fully encompassing of all the people that we are working with on a day-to-day basis, but we are working really hard to build that trust and build that relationship and ensure that they're starting to complete those surveys so that we can capture that information more accurately. Information item number 3 is a MESA update, and you'll see included in the report is the MESA status report up until July 10th. So this really just shows a summary of some of the activities that have taken place since the MESA initiative has been launched. I'd like to just add into this report, or enhance the information that's provided in here, just to say that the information in here really was up until towards the end of June, and even in the months of June and July, there's been significant improvements in what we've been able to do, and that includes, as Ms. Patrick mentioned, the MESA teams in both the East and the West now. So originally, the majority of this information is coming from the West End, as that's where the initial outreach team was really located. So there's a lot of Pembroke-centric numbers here, but we are going to start to see some of those interactions throughout the county as well. We've made some really great progress in terms of engaging with some of those other service providers throughout the county, so including the NeighborLink Fountain in Arnprior. There's now a presence there with our MESA team and community services staff. The OPP Connection Center, Renfrew and Area Connection Center in Renfrew, there's a really good relationship established there as well. We have Teams on the ground that consist of Mesa paramedics, McKay Manor addictions treatment workers, mental health caseworkers, and they're partnering with our community services staff to provide community supports to the clients that are needing those services. We're doing daily check-ins, maintaining really good communication and working really well together to develop good case plans for people who are struggling right now. I'll leave it there, but if there's any questions, I'll pass it over. Thank you.
Thank you. So any questions on information item number 1, the Ontario Works caseload statistics? Those numbers keep going up. Item number 2, the by name list statistics on active homelessness statistics. No. Item number 3, the MESA update. Okay. Councillor Service, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So, in just looking at the statistics, it seems like a lot of the encounters are taking place in the city of Pembroke. So the MESA team, do they have a plan or a process that they use to determine where they do these outreach programs? So in looking at the stats, most of it is Pembroke, but at some point do they say, I think there's somebody we need to help in Chalk River or Deep River or Eganville? And do they go to those other communities?
Thank you, and through you to committee. So yes, they really started at the grind, since really that was the hub, and that's where we were seeing most of our clients who are experiencing homelessness. And then through the engagement of other service providers, like I said, the Fountain and Empire, the libraries, the connection centers, they're, anytime they hear information about, somebody might have been reported as being tenting or camping somewhere, the team is mobilizing themselves to go and check those areas out to ensure that, they're covering as much as they can and reaching as many people as they can. Some of the calls from the outerlying areas are coming mostly from service providers to, make a referral, and certainly if they can, they're mobilizing themselves there as well.
Supplemental?
Supplemental, please. Yeah, thanks. Through you, Chair. So if, let's say, a resident of one of the other communities calls town hall or one of the councillors and says, I believe there's an individual who needs assistance, who would they reach out to get the MESA team to come?
Thank you. Good question, and through you, Chair, to committee. So at this time, we're using the community paramedicine phone number. So there's a 1844 phone number, and that's being the staff on that paramedic team are using that to triage. We are really hoping that number is being used more when there's an identified medical need, because of course we want to make sure that we're referring to the appropriate resource. So the other option could be just to contact our community services office. Within our community supports team, we actually have designated staff who are supporting in this MESA initiative. So there's 3 staff in each office who are supporting any of the clients who are experiencing homelessness. So when calls are coming in, they're going to that designated team because they're probably already aware of some of the situations that are happening within the community.
Follow-up?
Follow-up, thanks. Through you, Chair. Is there a chance that you could create some kind of little social media blurb or box that could be advertised on municipal social media that says, if you see somebody in need or some mental health issues or addiction issues or homelessness issues, if you see this in your community, phone this number if they need immediate medical assistance, phone this number if you think they need help with mental health or homelessness?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Yes, absolutely, I can take that back. It's definitely something that we've heard, consistently, that we really want to ensure that we have some good pathways. Right now, it's a lot of it is trial and error, so we're wanting to make sure that we're not bogging down resources or directing people to the wrong place. So definitely something that we're fielding right now.
Thank you.
So I have a question. So the 1844 number, the community paramedics, that would be 7 days a week, 24/7. What about the community services people?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So the 1844 number, the rationale for using that line was because of the 24-hour service and 7 days a week. Our community services line is only open during our business hours, which is 8 to 4, Monday to Friday.
And does that number direct people to the 1844 number?
At this time, I don't believe it does, but if there is a call that comes in during business hours, we are directing that to our staff on site who are able to support through that MESA program. But I can certainly take that back as a recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? No, thank you. We'll continue with Children's Services Division. Ms. Smith, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. The first 4 information items in the Children's Services report are related to various statistics from January to the end of June 2024. Information item number 1, the licensed childcare center statistics. So here we have the total number of licensed childcare centers remains at 30 at this time. The licensed spaces versus operating spaces. Licensed spaces is the combination of the total capacity that all centers are licensed for. And as we've discussed in previous meetings, there's a bit of a disparity there between licensed and operating spaces. The operating spaces are the actual number of spaces that are operational for month to month, and that largely is due to staffing issues within the centers and the ability to have all of their rooms open. The total children served, as noted, this number may be a little bit higher than the operating spaces due to some part-time programming that some of the centers have where multiple children might use the same space on any given day. Information item number 2, licensed home child care agency statistics. So there are 2 licensed home agencies in the county. Our staff directly operate one and the PMFRC operates the other. Currently, as of June, you will see that one of the homes has closed. It's just a very temporary closure over the summer and will be reopening in September. The licensed spaces versus operating spaces is quite a big disparity here due to the fact that the total licensed capacity for the 2 agencies is up to 65 homes, and currently we just have 14 open. The operating spaces is based on 6 children per home, which is the maximum that each home could have. Total children served is a little less as well, and that is largely due to the fact that the home provider's own children have to be counted in that number of 6. So we wouldn't count them in this statistical column. Information item number 3, Canada-wide early learning and childcare, or the CWELC statistics. Just a reminder that CWELC only covers 0 to age 5, so that's what these numbers are reflecting. So out of the 30 licensed childcare centers and the 2 licensed home agencies in the county, 30 are enrolled in CWELC and 2 are not, and you will see the number of children that are affected with CWELC here. Information item number 4, inclusion services statistics. So this chart shows the total number of children served who require inclusion services to support them in their licensed childcare programs. Information item number 5, early development instrument or EDI reports. So back in May of this year, Council had approved the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education and the County of Renfrew to receive the results from the Early Development Instrument Questionnaire. And so just as a refresher, the EDI is a questionnaire that's completed by kindergarten teachers for each student in senior kindergarten every 3 years. So this is cycle 6 of the EDI collection, and it was scheduled to start in 2021, but was delayed for 2 years by the pandemic. So collection of the data for these reports began in the spring of 2023. And the EDI measures children's abilities to meet age-appropriate developmental expectations in 5 domains. And those domains are physical health and well-being, social competence, emotional maturity, language and cognitive development, communication skills, and general knowledge. So what we have attached here are 2 reports that have been received for the County of Renfrew, which shows a snapshot of children's developmental health at school entry. The first attachment is the Cycle 6 Summary Report for 2022-2023, and the second attachment is the EDI Over Time Report. So that report shows comparative data over the 6 EDI cycles that started back in 2003. The reports for 2022-2023 do show that in the County of Renfrew, 37.6% of the children that questionnaires were completed for in this snapshot were vulnerable in at least one of the EDI domains. So this is an increase from 28.9% in the Cycle 5 data that was completed back in 2018. There isn't a lot of information on all the reasoning for that. I mean, I think that the pandemic could play a part in potentially some of the reasoning for the increase. There is quite a lot of information in these reports that we're looking to unpack, as well as completing some further data analysis that we can take a look at, share with our community partners to work together to help inform decision making and planning for early years programs and services in the County of Renfrew. Information item number 6. Childcare and Early Years IT Modernization Initiative. So I'm quite excited about this one to share that the Ministry of Education is looking to develop a modernized IT system for the childcare and early years sector in the next few years. So currently, the ministry is not involved with all of the multiple IT systems that are being used throughout the province by service system managers. So this new system will be instrumental in connecting all of the users, which will include ministry staff, service managers such as ourselves, the childcare and early years operators, and families as kind of a one-stop shop for all things, including program applications, wait lists, funding, and reporting. So we're very, very pleased that this is coming, and the ministry is looking to consult with all parties starting this fall, and the plan is to help inform the building of this new system, and it's scheduled to be launched in 2027. So we certainly plan to be a part of any and all engagement sessions that we're invited to, and we have attached a slide deck that provides more information on the initiative. Information item number 7, National Indigenous Peoples Day. So on June 21st, the Miramichi Lodge, Family and Children's Services of Renfrew County and the City of Pembroke came together to host National Indigenous Peoples Day at the Pembroke Waterfront Park. The day was dedicated to honoring the culture and contributions of Canada's First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities. And it was a day of learning and sharing, and some of our staff from our community services team attended and set up a booth to share details about our programs and services as well. And that concludes my report, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go back to information item number 1, licensed child care center statistics. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Item 2, licensed home child care agency statistics. Seeing none. Item 3, CWELC statistics. Councillor from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. Just a question about, I know we sent a request for increased CWELC spaces here in Renfrew County because we're the only county in Ontario that wasn't being allocated new positions, I believe 25 and 26. Is that correct? Did we hear back? Is there any good news?
Through you, Chair, to committee, unfortunately, there is not any good news on a response from the ministry. We haven't heard anything else in terms of any kind of recalibration of spaces. You are correct. The county of Renfrew is the only county that had 0 allocation for 25 and 26. So we are hoping that can we speak? Oh, okay. We do have a delegation that is coming up at AMO next week that I know that Director Patrick and several of committee members and other staff will be in attendance, and this is one of the items that is going to be on the agenda to be spoken about.
Thanks, and I wish you the best of luck. Go get them.
Thank you. I won't be there. Item number 4, inclusion services statistics. Item 5, early development instrument reports. I found these very interesting and very surprised that of the high percentage of vulnerable children. And I know that we're above the provincial average. but I'd be interested in going back and looking at how this is evolving, like over the years. Because to me, that's a high number. That's like more than 1 in 3 children is in a vulnerable state. It's crazy. Okay, item 6, childcare and early years IT modernization initiative. Nothing. And number 7, National Indigenous Peoples Day. Nothing there. Okay. Could I get a mover and a seconder for the Community Services Report as a whole, please? Councillor from Petawawa, seconded by the councillor from Head Clare-Mariah. Thank you. Oh, all in favor? No, thank you. Okay, nothing, no new business. There is one item of new business. Gwen, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. The City of Pembroke Representative Councillor Ed Jackno has sent his regrets prior to lunch today that he could not be at the meeting today, which means this is his 3rd consecutive meeting being missed. Section 73, Section D of our procedural bylaw states that should any member of committee fail to attend 3 successive regular or special meetings without being authorized to do so by a resolution of the committee may certify such failure and the membership of such person on the committee is terminated. Council may appoint another member in his or her place. Receipt of a written notice or of regret by the committee or council will constitute authorization for the purposes of the subsection. Therefore, I am suggesting that committee consider the following resolution: that the Community Services Committee acknowledge Councillor Ed Jackno's regrets for the August 14th, 2024 meeting and authorize his absence as per the County of Renfrew Procedural Bylaw 85-10, Section 73, subsection D, as amended.
Could I get a mover and a seconder for that motion? Moved by the member from Petawawa, seconded by the by the warden. Discussion. Yeah, we definitely need Pembroke to be present.
Yeah, it's
Warden,
unfortunate.
Yes.
The summer is a difficult time, as is June and May, and I think any conversations I've had with Mayor Councillor Giacomo, he seems very interested. So, I think I will certainly reach out to him and ask on behalf of the committee, and we'll see where it goes. I have a good enough relationship with him, and I think I could do that.
So I believe we do not have alternates for standing committees, members, like members of council.
You could, but that's up to the city, right, to provide an alternate if they.
So that could be in your discussion, possibly mention sending an alternate. Yes. Okay, so all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that. Okay, so next, item 10 is a closed meeting. Pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, treatment centers. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Head Clare-Mariah, seconded by the member from Petawawa. All in favor? Carried. Thank you and welcome back. Could I get a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the closed minutes from June 12th? Got too many papers going here. Moved by Councillor from Petawawa, seconded by the member from Head Clare Mariah. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the date of the next meeting is Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Can I get a mover and a seconder for adjournment, please? Moved by the warden, seconded by the member from Petawawa. All in favor? Carried. We are adjourned. We'll take a 5-minute bio break, please. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Renfrew County Housing Corporation for Wednesday, August 14th. It is 3 o'clock almost. Has roll call been taken, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and we have quorum.
Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Mover and a seconder, please, for the Renfrew County Housing Corporation minutes of June 12th. Moved by the councillor from Petawawa, second by the councillor from Head Clare Mariah. All in favor? Carried. Item 6, mover and a seconder, please, for the AGM minutes of June 12th. Moved by the member from Petawawa, seconded by the member from Head Clare Mariah. All in favor? Carried. No delegations. There were none at the time of mailing. The director's report, Ms. Patrick, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. Good afternoon to Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors. Information items number 1 and 2 in my report are the community housing capital projects update and an update on our new build at 1030 Lee Street. And with your permission, Chair, I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Raditz to overview that for the board.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, to the board. So information item number 1 is just a update on the current status of the projects in the Renfrew County Housing Corporation portfolio. And again, just to mention the 202 Cecil Street, back in June's meeting, we did confirm that that building was complete, which it is. And of course, just a follow-up on the good news is, I guess, as of September 1st, I think it's going to be officially occupied. Is that correct, Ms. Patrick? Yes. So that's good news and very rewarding to see that happening. And then, of course, the remaining projects that are on the spreadsheet, we'll be tendering several projects in the next couple of weeks for the Q4. And Chair, for item number 2 is the update for the new build on 1012 Lee Street, and of course that is now 100% complete. Currently we're just addressing some of the deficiencies, which is currently being done this week and should be finished next week with these minor deficiencies to be completed. And then of course occupancy, that unit will be ready for occupancy September 1st. Again, some good news. And I'll just stop there, Chair.
I think we'll, for these 2 items, we'll just go back and see if there are any questions for Mr. Raditz. Item number 1, community housing, the capital projects update. Number 2, the update on 1030 Lee Street. No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Raditz. We'll continue with number 3, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. Item number 3 is the 2024-01 review of expressions of interest for affordable housing. So as the board is aware, the County of Renfrew put out an expression of interest to invite interested parties, including developers, real estate agents, nonprofit organizations, and other parties to partner with the County of Renfrew to help us address our affordable housing needs on some county vacant lands. So the expression of interest closed on June 7th, and we did receive a total of 18 proposals from 13 proponents. And Director Davis and his team, Mr. Raditz and others from Development and Property, did take the lead on the review of those proposals that came in. And with your permission, Chair, perhaps Mr. Davis could provide some more detail for the board.
Mr. Davis, please.
Through you, Chair, and very much excited to respond and to talk about the expression of interest. So in your package and what we talked about at Development and Property Committee yesterday, just gave a brief overview of the expression of interest and of the organizations that responded to our expression of interest. There was interest, which is always good. Very unique ideas that were brought to our attention through this EOI. What you see in your committee package and the summary report, 13 organizations did respond. Some organizations put multiple requests in or multiple ideas in for some of our projects for housing. Some were actually very grandiose, very complex. there's one, I'll just kind of highlight one where an individual is looking to look at the assets, the entire assets in the town of Arnprior. And with that, what they're thinking of and what they're proposing is utilizing, or we would propose, or they would propose that they would take those assets in Arnprior and replace them in a different location in the town of Renfrew. So again, very grandiose, lots of moving parts in this one, but at least people are thinking about housing and housing initiatives. A number of initiatives, a number of ideas were straight up, we have a great modular home, we have a great design, and it's relatively cheap. We appreciate those comments, we appreciate those ideas. Not quite what we're looking for, but we will be looking at modular housing in the future at a different date. So we'll keep those companies in mind when we do an RFP for a modular home style further on, maybe next month or the following month. But needless to say, you don't see a recommendation from this committee or from even from DNP to move forward with all of these. We're continuing to look at maybe 4 of them. We'll continue to look at the Habitat for Humanity solution of modernizing a single family detached to a quad maybe. We're looking forward to working with community living, where they're looking to install some additional or micro homes on our property. So we'll move these files along, we'll move these ideas along when and where necessary. One of the things we have to keep in mind, though, we are having the BCAs, the building condition assessments, are being completed and have been completed by our consultant. Those assessments and the review and the recommendations from that process is coming to this committee hopefully in September, and they'll have recommendations that can tie into some of these ideas. So all you have here is a summary for information. I hesitate. It's always good news when people are interested. Was it a silver bullet for all our housing woes? No, but at least we can move forward with a number of them. And maybe I'll leave it at that, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this one? Warden, please.
Not so much a question, but just to inform you, this is what I was mumbling about that we should share. Sorry. It was in the DNP report as well, and I just lost it.
I thought you were going to go on. Okay, continue on, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. So item number 4 in my report is a recommendation regarding regional incentives program. May I go ahead and read the recommendation to get it on the floor, Chair?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to the board. The recommendation is that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board directs staff to update the Municipal Housing Facilities Bylaw number 27-12 as necessary to develop or provide support to various programs to enable the provision of grants or loans to support affordable housing development, including the preparation of programs to fund incremental tax relief on the county's portion of taxes, grants loans for the one-time construction of an affordable unit, grants loans for renovation of existing units to affordable units, and the potential support for existing housing programs, including rent supplements, and including a recommendation, including a recommended funding amount for council to consider in the 2025 budget.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Petawawa, seconded by the member from Head Claremoraya. Background, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. So by way of some background, I'm really pleased to welcome Mr. Howarth and his team, which is 2 junior planners are here that are making their way up to the podium right now. We have Nicole Moore and Lewin Zuhl, and we're very pleased to have them with us to provide a presentation to the board to give the background that is needed for information on this item. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair and Committee, for having us. So as we were briefly introduced, I'm Nicole Moore. I'm a junior planner in the planning department. With me is Lewin Zuhl, and she is our co-op student from the University of Waterloo. So today we will be providing an overview of the committee report which we co-authored. which looked into affordable housing supports and the possibility of establishing a regional incentives program.
So, assessing housing affordability and availability in Renfrew County is a key goal in the county's strategic plan. The county has initiated several programs and initiatives today to help with the housing crisis. This includes updating the official plan and zoning bylaw to support and reduce regulation restriction on housing, adopting provisions to support additional dwelling on existing lots, and establishing the MISA program, which takes a housing-first approach to support those who are precariously housed. And the county was also using county-owned land as a potential developing site and working with private development sector and non-for-profit organization for the creation of additional affordable and attainable housing. The Eastern Ontario Warden Caucasus region also introduced the 7 in 7 Plus plan to increase housing supply. On April 4th, 2024, the county hosted the Renfrew County Housing Summit, where stakeholders gathered to discuss challenges and strategies for improving housing affordability, accessibility, and supply in Renfrew County. Participants identified the pressing needs for increased funding as a key challenge in developing affordable housing. It was recommended by the Housing Summit that the county explore community improvement plans and regional incentives programs to stimulate private and non-for-profit sector investment in attainable housing. It was also recommended that the county incentivize private sector landlords to offer affordable housing, and to increase funding and revise criteria for housing repair programs, and moreover, advocate additional funding for rent supplement programs.
Okay, I'm just going to go over a little bit of the legislative basis for those that may not be familiar. So Section 28 of the Planning Act speaks to community improvement activities, including who can conduct them and where they can occur. So under this section, it is stipulated that only local municipalities and certain prescribed upper tier municipalities can establish their own community improvement plans, which from henceforth I'll be calling CIPs. The County of Renfrew is not a prescribed upper tier municipality, therefore we cannot establish our own CIP. However, under subsection 7.2, upper tier municipalities can provide grants or loans to support an existing CIP within a local municipality. So this is kind of where that concept of a regional incentives program, or an RIP, stems from. So in order to implement this type of program, there has to be an enabling policy within our official plan that permits the county to provide support to local CIPs. Again, we'll emphasize that only existing incentives within existing CIPs can be supported. So in other words, if an incentive is not locally available, such as affordable housing or a brownfield incentive, the county cannot provide a local municipality with money for this purpose.
So let's first start with some information on current CIP incentives in the county. So out of the 17 member local municipalities, only 7 have a current CIP, which are the ones listed on the screen. Many of the other municipalities have expressed interest in creating a CIP, but have not due to a lack of funds or staff resources. Among the 7 local municipalities, there are a variety of incentives. Some common types include signage and facade improvement, accessibility improvement, tax increment equivalent, grants, and brownfield development. There are also a few special incentives provided by only certain local municipalities. Some example includes building improvement and energy efficiency, agriculture value added grant, and shoreline restoration. Funding. So the source of funding for CIP budgets for local municipality is mainly from municipal property tax, and the amount is approved by local council's budgets annually, and the budgeted amount varied by municipality by year. On the screen are the budgets for 2024, and with an average of $30,000 per municipality this year.
Thank you. So as part of our research, we did an examination into existing RIPs from counties across Ontario, though we mainly focused on those you can see on screen. So as part of this research, we looked into the governance models, and we found that there's typically one of two models that are adopted, which are either committee or staff-led. So the first of these is the committee-led model, which you can see in the green pathway there. So the committee in this model generally consists of appointed county council members, staff, and/or residents, with the process generally being as follows. So when an application is received at the local municipality, it is forwarded then to review, forwarded for review to the committee. The committee will then make a decision based on set criteria, or alternatively, they will make a recommendation and then forward that to county council, who will then make the final decision. So from there, the applicant will undertake the work. They will then provide proof that they have completed that work. And then the county will then be informed of this, and they will disperse funding to the local municipality, who then in turn will provide the funds to the applicant. So the second model of governance is the staff delegated model. As you can see, it is very similar. It's the path in orange at the top. It is very, very similar, with the key difference there being that staff take the lead role instead of a committee. So while the process here has county staff adopting a lead role, the method could also be conducted using a bottom-up approach, where municipal staff take the lead and county staff would only be responsible for reviewing and commenting. It should also be noted that in addition to this process that you see on screen, both models indicate that the lead entity that would be taking charge of the process, they would also be responsible for overseeing marketing, monitoring, and making annual recommendations as to what incentives should be supported. So the incentives supported at the regional level will vary from county to county and is dependent on what is offered within the local CIPs. Additionally, not all incentives offered at the local level have regional benefits. So with that in mind, some of the common programs within the local CIPs in the counties examined include downtown and Main Street improvements. So this typically included things like property improvements and signage grants. Then development support grants. So this could include anything for grants to help with studies, design work, or application fees. Building conversion and expansion grants. As well as tax equivalent increment grants, which typically are seen with either brownfield or for new residential units. And here's some other incentives supported by the counties examined that could be of interest to local municipalities within the county. And now on to everyone's favorite part, the funding. So through our research, we found that RIPs are typically funded through the county property tax levy and then dispersed to successful applicants through the local municipality. So of the counties researched, the budgets typically ranged from the two figures you can see on screen there. And typically the county provides matching funds to the local municipality for each incentive, with there being procedures through the RIP to more specifically manage fund dispersal.
So we've surveyed local municipalities with CIP regarding which program they felt would be most beneficial to receive funding from the county, which they identified as the following priority, where downtown Main Street improvement and development support grant tied in the first place, followed by agriculture improvement and brownfield redevelopment. Municipalities also indicate that in addition to funding, the program would be benefit from additional marketing support at the county level.
So as we have been discussing, through an RIP, the county can only provide grants and loans to municipalities through their CIPs. So this doesn't align with county goals, including the key recommendations of the Housing Summit, which is to provide funds to the private development and not-for-profit sector to fund affordable housing programs. So to provide an example, the county would currently be unable to provide funds for a project in Kilu, Haggerty, and Richards simply because they don't have a CIP, and even if they did, they would have to have that specific incentive in place in order for funds to be provided. So, as a solution, we are recommending utilizing a municipal housing facilities bylaw. So, based on our research, some counties are using their housing corporations through this bylaw to create and fund affordable housing programs. So those programs include incremental tax relief, grants and loans for the construction of either an affordable unit or to convert an existing unit to an affordable unit, as well as a rent supplement program. It's important to note at this point that we do have an existing housing bylaw, which is number 27-12 through the Housing Corporation, and this already includes a rent supplement program. As such, if the county were to pursue this bylaw option, the next step would be to amend the housing bylaws so that we can expand the variety of programs offered and start budgeting for that. Once in place, the bylaw works by requiring that a site-specific bylaw be passed for each property or project to declare it as a municipal interest. And this part is key so that we can comply with sections 106 and 107 of the Municipal Act, which speaks to bonusing and grants. So lastly, I will read the recommendation that was mentioned at the top of this presentation for committee. So staff recommend that the Community Services Committee recommends that County Council direct the Community Services staff to update the Municipal Housing Facilities Bylaw number 27-12 as necessary to develop or provide support to various programs to enable the provision of grants and loans to support affordable housing development, including the preparation of programs to fund incremental tax relief on the county's portion of taxes, grants/loans for the one-time construction of an affordable unit, grants/loans for renovation of existing units to affordable units, and the potential for existing housing program rent supplements. Additionally, it's also recommended to include a recommended funding amount for council to consider in the 2025 budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Just a little clerical cleanup. I know what you read, it says community services, but the actual bylaw is that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation directs staff, right? Yeah, okay. No comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? Sorry?
Just a question.
Mr. Kelly.
Do we actually have a motion on the table? No, we do. Okay, just make sure. To either the planners or Bruce. So if we wanted to do, a while back, a couple years ago, we looked at doing funding or incentivizing those wanting to build secondary dwelling units or ADUs on their property. So we'd still have to update our bylaw to do that then, or the housing bylaw to do secondary dwelling units if we wanted to give money to them, or, yeah, okay. All right. That wasn't contemplated at the time, so this is, we were just going to give them money. Secondly, I guess the question would be this, if we were to do this, it could come out of HPP, I'm supposing, right? Andrea, I suppose? Okay. For those in the viewing pleasure, there's lots of nodding of heads. So I got yes on both of all these things so far. So HPP is getting tapped out, but or other incentives could. Okay, I'm just double checking. All right, thank you, Chair.
So your first comment was to update.
First comment was so a couple of years ago when we were first. I think it was first round of HPP. I think it was. I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at Andrea. It was obviously with Laura at the time. We were looking at doing. At the very start of the housing crisis, we're looking at different ways of using HPP. I believe it was HPP or another fund at the time, and we had contemplated doing a secondary dwelling unit program and providing, I think we allocated about $150,000 or something at that time for, and you would be able to apply up to $25,000 if you wanted to put a basement apartment in, or a bunkie, not a bunkie, but a secondary dwelling on your property. We stopped that because then we went forward with the Lee and Douglas build, and we or halted it at least anyways, or paused that program. So I just, in terms of bringing that back, this is kind of news to me, or us, that we would have to update that bylaw to do that, but that's good. This is good knowledge. So I just want to clarify that knowledge, that if we were to incentivize any program and be nimble enough to do that, then it would behoove us to look at this bylaw in an expedient fashion, at least, to get this updated in some fashion. So this is, and the question's not to you, Chair, but maybe to Mr. Howarth or to the junior planners.
Mr. Howarth.
Thank you, through you, Chair. It's a great question. We did do a lot of research and through Nicole and Leewin, so I thank them for all their efforts. And we did have some really good discussions with our partner counties across Ontario. And so one of those discussions was with Northumberland County, who had this exact program that you're discussing. So first, yeah, they did have the program identified through their housing facilities bylaw. But then, as Nicole mentioned, the key next step to that is each specific property that wants to use that grant requires a site-specific bylaw to declare that unit to be a municipal interest. So under Section 107 of the Municipal Act, there's a provision saying that the 106 says you can't provide grants or loans to a private or a person. The municipality is not allowed to bonus development. But then 107 says municipalities can provide grants or loans provided it's for a municipal interest. So that's where that second bylaw is a key component of it, saying that this affordable unit is a municipal interest. And the other key, interesting fact that Northumberland mentioned was the amount of money that used for the incentive. So they started with, I think it was a $20,000 to $25,000 amount, saying that if somebody wanted to create an affordable unit, they would have an agreement saying that the unit is going to remain at an affordable price point for about 20, I think it was 20 years. That $20,000, they got, I think it was zero uptake on that. That $20,000 wasn't a big enough incentive for somebody to say, yeah, we'll keep this at a below market or at that affordable rate. So they were suggesting if we wanted to go down that program or down that avenue of supporting affordable housing, they suggested $40,000 would be more appropriate per unit to, in return, get that guaranteed at a 20-year affordable market rate. So it was just something that's interesting, but all those details would be further hashed out as we look at updating these bylaws and these programs.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kelly.
So just to clarify one more question. So because we're in a very, through you, Chair, because we're in a very, oh my gosh, a good position with RCHC as our municipal corporation that does housing, we don't necessarily have to have an RIP or CIP because we have RCHC. We can work around the CIP, if you will, as an alternative methodology. I just want to just really hit that point that we're in that's a unique situation to do that.
Mr. Howarth, please.
Yes, through you, Chair. So absolutely. So that's where the benefit of having the RCHC and using the municipal housing facilities bylaw has a real benefit over the RIP process, because that RIP again is tied to a local municipal CIP, and we can only support what a local municipality does. And so there's many, I think there's in the presentation, there's only 7 local municipalities in the county that has a CIP, and with varying amounts of money so that they support various programs. So if we're not tied to that, so using the municipal or the Renfrew County Housing Corporation, we can provide across the county supports or programs to each municipality, not just be tied to that local municipality. So there's a real benefits to going that route. So there was a joint recommendation to the Development and Property Committee that we also look at doing an RIP, but that would be sort of going down two different avenues at the same time. So one is looking at, what can we do to support local municipalities through their CIPs is one recommendation. And then there's the second recommendation discussed today is to move forward with the update to the Renfrew County Housing Bylaw.
Okay. Everybody clear on that? Yes, please. Mr. Davis.
I mentioned this, if I may, Chair, and through you. I mentioned this when the discussion happened at Development and Property. This is budget implications. No matter, we have a two-prong approach. We have the RIP and we have the changing of our bylaws. So this will be above and beyond what we typically have done in the past. So additional funds will be considered during the 2025 budget creation and budget deliberation. I just want to make sure we all understand that and manage my own expectations and managing your expectations too of what's coming our way for this deliberation.
Mr. Kelly.
You'd think I'd ask these questions when I'm reviewing these reports, but that's okay. So again, through you, Chair, to the planners, when you did your research, I'm not sure even on the human rights side of things, if we were to incentivize property owners with this type of incentive, can we, since we're specifically in Miramichi Lodge today, can you make it seniors, can you make it an incentive to create seniors units, or does it have to be affordable housing, or can you make it specific to a certain demographic? To the planners or to Bruce?
Mr. Howarth.
Yeah, through you, Chair, I'd have to do some more research. I don't have enough information to give you an answer today.
Warden Nemo, please.
Thank you. When you're doing your research, if you could also sort of just divert about an inch to the right. If it's a church that's being changed to multiple use, which would be affordable housing with the church still remaining in a portion of it, because there is, I've had some conversations with a group who are going to go back to their board with some thoughts that I gave them as a qualified planner and building inspector and fire inspector. So all of those things. But yeah, that if you could take a look at that at the same time. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm confused here. So right now, we are looking at a recommendation for the Renfrew County Housing Corporation to update the municipal housing facilities bylaw. Yet, at D&P, you also looked at this same recommendation, or is it's got to be something different? Please, Mr. Davis. Please.
Davis, thank you, Chair. So what you see on the screen behind you, what you don't see, that's why we're talking about a two-prong approach. So at D&P, we had one recommendation, which you see there on the screen at least to my left, and then which is separate, going through D&P, and in front of you, in front of this committee, is the recommendation we've heard twice.
My mistake, it's right in front of me, but I didn't see it. I'm only seeing the right side of my page. Okay, I'm clear now. Sorry. Are we good to move on and vote? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Yep. Could I get a mover and a seconder to accept the director's report, please? Moved by a member from Petawawa, seconded by the warden. All in favor?
If I might, I made a mistake. I sort of slept through this. I want to congratulate Mr. Raditz on coming in on budget, slightly under budget on the project at Lee and Douglas. Congratulations, and I'm sort of curious. I think there were a few change orders, but you still managed to come in under budget, if I remember correctly.
Through you, Chair, thank you for that comment and question at the same time. Yes, we did come in under budget. There was a 5% contingency built into that project. There were some change orders, but then in addition, there were some cost savings as well. So with the current information we have, we are under budget.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue now with the Manager of Community Housing Monthly Report, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. So unfortunately, Ms. Dombrowski is ill, so I will overview her report for the board. So the first item in her report is the Treasurer's Report for the Renfrew County Housing Corporation as of June 30th, 2024. So again, we are in fairly good shape with the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board. We looked at in the Community Services Committee meeting the department as a whole, which we are in good shape and underspent. Specifically with respect to the Renfrew County Housing Corporation portion, we are showing overspent by about $400,000, and that is largely due to overspending on one line of non-TCA capital repairs for our building maintenance. We're just over that by $304,000. So I think this board is aware of the numerous issues and many unforeseen and unplanned repairs that come up on a day-to-day basis for Mr. Raddat's team on the building side. But as I say, beyond that, we are in good shape, and certainly Mr. Burke, our treasurer, is not with us today, but in reviewing our reports, there's nothing that he was concerned about in terms of the spending for the RCHC board. Item number 2 is the annual general report. So as the board will recall, we had our annual general meeting for RCHC in June. Unfortunately, we did not have the report ready to accompany that, and we do have it in front of you today. We have printed copies for members of the board, so if anyone didn't get one, please let me know. I think that the report is a really comprehensive report that we really didn't want to rush through in getting completed. There was lots of work that went into this by both Mr. Davis's team as well as our team. I think it really reflects where we're going with the Renfrew County Housing Corporation and the MESA flair and vision around really providing, very comprehensive supports, both on the people side for our tenants as well as on the bricks and mortar side. We're really working very hard to make sure that we are supporting our tenancies and our tenants that are in the buildings, and we have a number of health clinics, as this board is aware as well, running in the buildings to support our tenants. So certainly want to thank this board very much for their support over the year, and also thank all of the staff that year. Sorry, I'm just experiencing a few technical issues. I think my mic is going in and out. But just thanking the staff as well for their work in this portfolio and on this report. The stats that you will see in there are a summary of the information that has been brought to the board throughout the 2023 year. A good snapshot of where we're going. Just pause for a moment. I think I'm going to change out the microphone. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 3 in the report. This is the 2024 second quarter community housing registry waitlist. So the second quarter is the period, of course, of April 1st to June 30th, 2024. And you will note that we are just over 1,600 individuals that are on our community housing wait list. Again, this board is well aware of the lengthy wait list that we do have for our community housing units. You'll also note that we have 119 individuals on our special priority wait list. And just a reminder to the board, that is individuals that are leaving a intimate partner violence situation or human trafficking that are identified as special priority for our wait list. Moving down to the below chart, you will note as well the bedroom size requested, and continues to be the greatest demand for our 1 and 2 bedroom units. Item number 4 is the second quarter move-ins, move-outs, and internal transfers comparison. So you will note as well a total of 29 move-outs during this period of time. So again, not a lot of turnover. This continues to be the case and continues to be why we don't see a lot of movement with our wait list. Moving down to item number 5, this is the 2024 second quarter landlord and tenant board notices and applications. So by area, we've broken down number of N4 notices and L1 and L2 notices that are issued. Just want to note to the board that we continue to do everything that we can to preserve tenancies and to avoid having to terminate a tenancy. So we have very few, as you'll note, in the L1 and L2s. We're really trying to wrap supports around individuals in order to help support them to ensure that rent is paid and units are maintained and that we're able to maintain those tenancies. Item number 6 is the second quarter Renfrew County Housing Corporation rent arrears. There are 2 reports that are attached for the board's information. One is the arrears report and one is the arrears comparison report. And I will stop there, Chair, before moving on to resolutions.
Okay, thank you. We'll go back to information item number 1, Treasurer's report. Any questions or comments? None. Item 2 is the annual general report. This is a great report. Warden Emo, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just page 17, where it shows, to my knowledge, that 78% of our homeless are single, and 18% of them have children. So that's, well, actually 25% when you add the 7% couples. So that's quite a thing to remember for me. And then yet, when I look at the age, I would have thought it would be more skewed to 16 to 29, but it's 30 to 64. So it's an interesting, but that's just essentially, and the gender works out to roughly half and half, so.
Thank you. Item number 3 is the 2024 second quarter community housing registry waitlist. Item 4, the 2024 second quarter move-ins, move-outs, and internal transfer comparison. Item 5 is the 2024 second quarter landlord and tenant board notices and applications. And number 6 is the 2024 second quarter Renfrew County Housing Corporation rent arrears. No, continue with the resolutions, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. So the item number 7 is a resolution regarding annual rent increase guideline for 2025. And the recommendation is that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approves an increase to rent in the amount of $10 per month above the annual rent increase guideline of 2.5% for all units within the Renfrew County Housing Corporation that are below the household income limits, or HILS, rent rates for 2025.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Head Club Mariah, seconded by the member from, or by the warden, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the board. So by way of some brief background, an individual in community housing is set at maximum rent if their income level exceeds that for which they qualify to be receiving a subsidized rent. So we currently have 112 tenants within our portfolio who are set at maximum rent due to higher income. And historically, as we have absorbed some new units from different housing providers in the past into the Renfrew County Housing Corporation portfolio, each of these different housing corporations set different rent amounts. So currently we do have different buildings that have been at different maximum rent amounts, and we are working towards standardizing the maximum rents for all Renfrew County Housing Corporation properties. And so again, you know, this recommendation to increase by $10 a month above the annual rent increase was made at this time last year as well, and we will continue to bring this forward until we can standardize the rents across the portfolio. So at this time, any individuals who have a subsidized rent in place will not see any change, but individuals who are at maximum rent at that particular portfolio will see this additional increase of $10 per month. And I'll stop there, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And that's it. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Manager's Report? Moved by the member from Petawawa, seconded by the warden. All in favor? Carried. There is nothing for new business. We have a... Oh, Gwen, please. Ms. Dombrowski, please.
Sorry. And thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee, and this is for the record. The City of Pembroke Representative Councillor Ed Jacquenot has sent his regrets prior to lunch today, which now will be his third consecutive meeting missed. Section 73D of the procedural bylaw states that should any member of a committee fail to attend 3 successive regular or special meetings without being authorized to do so, or by resolution of the committee may certify such failure and the membership of such person on the committee is terminated. Council may appoint another member in his/her place. Receipt of a written notice of regret by the committee or council will constitute authorization for the purposes of the subsection. Therefore, I'm suggesting the committee consider the following resolution: that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation acknowledge Councillor Ed Jacquenot's regrets for the August 14th, 2024 meeting and authorize his absence as per the County of Renfrew Procedural Bylaw 8510, Section 73D as amended.
Thank you. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Petawawa, seconded by the member from Head Clare Mariah. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Closed meeting. Recommendation that pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2021 as amended, the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors moves into a closed meeting to discuss the following items. One is labor relations or employee negotiations, pay equity. And number 2, information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, a province or territory or a crown agency of any of them. COCHI funding initiative. All in favor? Carried. Oh. I have a mover and a seconder. Okay, all in favor? No? Oh, I thought I did. Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder for this recommendation? Moved by the member from Head Clare Mariah, seconded by the warden. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now we are going into closed session. Thank you. We're back. I'll ask Ms. Patrick to read the recommendation, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, and through you to the board. So the recommendation is regarding demolition of a single-family unit, 135 Francis Street, Renfrew, and the recommendation reads that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approves the demolition of the single-family unit located at 135 Francis Street in Renfrew and construct a triplex on that parcel of land, and that the 2024-2025 Canada-Ontario Community Housing Initiative, COCHI, funding allocation be applied to this Renfrew County Housing Corporation project.
Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member, or warden, and seconded by the member from Head Claremoraya. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay. I think that's it. Date of next meeting is Tuesday, September 10th. And a motion to adjourn, please. Moved by the warden, seconded by the member from Head Claremoraya. All in favor? Carried. We are adjourned.